I've been waiting this long. I'm excited to play. This is the longest I've ever taken from basketball this past year, so yeah, I'm excited to play.
So many new faces, but you at least have been here. How much can you show the new guys?
I mean, just being here last year, showing them the ropes a little bit, what I've been through. I know it's gonna be tough at first, but I mean, just walking them through it and just pushing them through it, telling them to block everything out and just work as hard as they can. I know they'll get to where they want to be as their main goal.
What is this trip? Come out of learning experience. What do you want to get out of it? Is it more the basketball or the sightseeing?
Both. I want to take my game to another level. Hopefully, I can do that out there and showcase what I've been doing last year and my freshman year. But also sightseeing. I've never been out the country, so seeing a different country and exploring everything would be exciting for me.
How much it helped you watching last year? What do you want to get better at this your first year to play?
Watching last year, I think last year it really helped my game slow down to another level. I see the game differently. The college game is a really fast-paced game, so for the freshmen, I know it's really fast right now, but when they get to where I was last year, I think the game will start slowing down more and more. So just taking it one day at a time and learning each day, I think that'll be good for them and good for me.
Passed the Marco Polo test. What about Italy and Greece? What are some of the things you're curious about seeing?
I heard they have a lot of Gucci stores out there, so I want to buy some of the real Gucci. I really want to have some Gucci slides and a Gucci belt, and maybe even a scarf, so come back fresh to death.
Can you just talk about the importance of this trip, like bonding and then even these summer practices?
I think right now we're having a great bonding experience, but I think this will take it to another level as a team chemistry. Just getting to know the guys on a deeper level when we go out of the country, because we'll only know each other in each other's language. So I think that'll just make us bond even tighter.
Some teams that make this trip save all their practices and they'll practice 10 times the last 2 weeks before they leave. Coach is spacing it out. Do you see the intelligence in that?
I think it's smart for us to do that, just for them to learn bit by bit and not put it all on them at once, not just throwing them in the wildfire, but them learning this at this pace right now, I think is good for them. Definitely was good for me last year, so it'll help them grow a lot this upcoming year.
How do you feel like you've gotten better over the past year?
My game has grown a lot from jump shot wise. From shooting 22% my freshman year, I think I'll be able to shoot at least 40 now. But just seeing the game in a different perspective, I think it just helped my game grow a lot since I was just sitting out this last year.
How much do you even get better by seeing the mistakes of the guys that have just jumped in here? Like you can look at them and say, yeah, I remember when I did that. It almost is like a reinforcement.
Like a flashback. It's just like a flashback. So what they do, I tell them how I corrected it and how I learned. I just go up to the office and, you know what I'm saying, just learn from the older guys. That's what you have to do. Take bits of their knowledge and just throw it into your game, and I think that'll help the game grow a lot.
One of the old men on the team?
Yes, sir. Surprisingly, feels like I was a freshman the other day, and now I'm one of the older guys that the freshmen come and ask me questions. So it's a complete 180, that's for sure.
How do you handle? Do you just like throw them at and say, hey, you got to keep up, or you try to slow it down for the new guys? How do you guys handle it?
I think I try to stay positive with them. I think our freshman group is really like sponges. They ask a lot of questions and they're very curious to like what we do. So that's like really good on them on their part. Now it's our part just to like communicate the best we can. The coaches are doing a great job, and sometimes, like Coach Mike said the other day, it's like if they get like a different point of view, it kind of gets to them. So like the freshmen are being phenomenal. They're sponges, and they try to soak up as much as they can. How much will the trip, you think, help them with everything? I think it's going to help tremendously. Not only on the court, but I think it's going to help our chemistry off the court. I think it's going to it's a team sport, so I think the chemistry overall is just going to really skyrocket after this trip.
What are you personally looking forward to most about the trip?
Greece. I'm a big Greek mythology guy. I was telling our guys over there that Percy Jackson series is my favorite. So if I'm not reading books that are like knowledgeable, I'm reading Greek mythology, which is an interesting fact about me if y'all want to know.
How have you guys been bonding stateside?
Great. A lot of 2K battles and a lot of pool. Right now I'm currently the best on the team in pool. Make sure I throw that out there for the guys so it's a little competition out there. No, but we're doing really good. Outside the court, I think we really gel really well together. We have a great group of guys. I think we just all like carry off one another. Like the energy is really positive with us, and it's like the energy is just very upbeat with us.
Thomas, you've been around Coach Boynton and the staff as long as anybody here.
Yes, sir.
I asked Michael this. Do you see the genius in spacing these 10 workouts out rather than packing them in before you get on the plane and go?
No doubt. Kudos to Coach Mike. I think he's a mastermind right now. He's very, very diligent in what he's doing. And every move that he's doing is very precise. And he's very attention to detail. That's the type of coach he is. So I think these practices are spaced out perfectly.
How do you think these practices and then playing overseas is going to help you guys come January, February, once the conference play starts?
It's just going to show that we just got a step above everybody. A lot of teams use like the non-conference to like get going. I think we're using right now. We're already hitting the floor running. I think it's going to show huge dividends when January and the other months come around.
I know you're only a couple practices in, but how is Coach Mike's approach different this year than maybe it was last year?
I don't know if it's different. He's very, very patient. He's very understanding. He's a player's coach, so he understands. So I don't know if it's really different, but he's been in our shoes before, so I think he just understands from our point of view.
I need a program to know who's out there.
Yeah, me too sometimes.
When you got so many new guys, or do you like just throw them in the water, or do you say a little bit slower, pick up? How do you handle that?
Well, you throw them in the water, but you do a lot more teaching. I've said this before, we need a couple of these guys to help us this year if we're going to have the type of season we want to have. So we got to get them out there and let them screw up a bunch of times and learn through their mistakes.
Do you depend on guys like Cameron, Lindy, some of your older guys, Thomas, to kind of help you out with that part?
Yeah, we hit on that a little bit the other day. It's been really invaluable, the type of leadership that they've shown so far this summer with so many new guys who, they basically don't know anything. And we just went through a year where essentially we didn't have any freshmen. We had one really new guy in terms of Kendall being around, but everybody had been here and was familiar with each other and fairly familiar with me. And now we'll play 8 guys this year at some point that have never played in this program before. So drastic difference in personnel.
You actually see some of the guys like Michael Weathers was here, Curtis Jones was here, but they finally get to play. You actually see how they do, I guess, real live action.
Yeah, I think they're both really talented. I think they'll be two of the more surprising players maybe in our league in terms of expectations won't be very high because not a lot of people have seen either one of them play in a while. But both of them had pretty good seasons as freshmen at their respective institutions. Obviously, Weathers was the freshman of the year in the MAC, and I think Curtis Jones' first game was against Kansas, and he had like 19 or 20 points or something like that. So he's got some experience playing against some big boys. You mentioned last year a lot how Jeff and Mitch hadn't been asked to lead before. How have you watched those guys who are leading for the first time actually handle those roles? Yeah, it's interesting. I felt like even you go 2 years ago that Cam is like a natural in terms of leadership. He always does first, and so you can't be a leader unless you show it and that you can be a consistent producer, consistent with your work ethic. So he's kind of naturally been a guy that's kind of taken on a lot of that responsibility. Lindy does it in a different way, similar to like a Mitch, in that he's not as vocal, but he gives great effort. He knows everything we're doing. He's very responsible in terms of his assignments. So he's a good guy for people to watch and kind of emulate. So, and then Thomas, he's been around coaching all of his life, and so he understands the game in a different way than some people do. So those 3 guys will be guys that we really lean on to help the young guys come along.